Hey my good friends, Sam Haymart for Test Driven TV. Today, a very anticipated test drive. This is the all-new, brand new 2018 Lexus LC500h. This is the hybrid, also available in a V8 powered LC500. This is the brand new flagship luxury sport coupe from Lexus, their new high-end. We're going to take it for a test drive today. I'm going to show it to you inside and out. I'm going to tell you what I think. Based on the LC concept car that was actually shown way back in 2012, this is now on the showroom floor. Basically what we've got is Lexus styling. If you've seen Lexus vehicles of late, this looks just like one. But what's different here is we've got concept car level detail. When you look at the front, a beautiful satin chrome grille that's got the mesh insert that we see on a lot of the F Lexus models. Headlights on this one, very elegant, very expensive looking. These are triple beam LED headlights with LED driving lights built in. When they light up, they're very crisp, and unlike a lot of LED headlights out there right now, they work very well at night, that I've found. When you come around the side, that satin chrome look continues with these wheels. Now this is the optional 21-inch wheel. This comes standard with 20-inch wheels. Here on these you can see we've got black painted pockets and that satin chrome polished aluminum look that's very elegant. Through those wheels you can see the two-piece 14-inch rotors with 6-piston calipers. A very beautiful brake to look at through those wheels. The mirrors, nice chrome element with blinkers in the side. The door handles, another nice touch. These are actually flush door handles, as you can see. To open, you press the button and they pop out. The other thing you can do is when you hit the key fob and unlock the car, it has a valet function where they just sort of pop out for you. So if you're walking up with a friend, those open up and you can just reach down, open up those doors. After a period of time, they do close back in there. As you come down the side, you can see this has got an upper belt line that really wraps up nicely into that rear three-quarter view. This has a floating roof design, very popular with the Japanese brands right now, and that is comprised of a black trim element that wraps all the way around here into that rear glass. Not as easily seen here with this dark color as it would be with a bright color or something that was a lot lighter. The roof, this has a chrome element that comes down that sort of mimics the Japanese era. That's what the marketing materials tell us. Very thematic with Japanese culture, as you'd expect from Lexus. The roof on this one, this is a carbon fiber. You can choose between this, which is genuine, and you can choose a glass roof. I happen to like the carbon fiber here. It's very pleasing to the eye and is lighter than that glass. Down here on the lower rocker, air vents. As you can see, that is a functional air vent. It comes through, and back at the lower lip right here, there's actually a vent that vents that air out around the tires, what they call an air curtain. That's for aerodynamics. And what that does is it actually shoots air around the tires you're going down the highway and prevents that wheel from creating its own aerodynamic drag field. It also gives the car a little bit more stability at speed, so they tell us. Hybrid badge down there at the bottom as well on this model. At the back we've got LED tail lamps as expected in this price range, but these are a little bit different. They have mirror reflectors inside that actually give them a three-dimensional effect. So when those tail lights are on, when you hit the brake lights or the blinkers, they really have more of an upscale appeal. Very, very nice, I think. Rear spoiler on this one, motorized. Goes up and down automatically at speed depending on how fast you're going to create a little bit more downforce at higher speeds, or you can do it manually as I'm doing here in the picture. You can see how that actually works. Very pleasing to the eye, but you can have that down if it's a little bit crazy for you. Very upscale looking car back here, finished off down in the lower rocker with some nice dual exhaust tips, which even on the hybrid are a very nice touch. Whether or not you like the exterior styling of this car, this interior is pretty hard to argue with, at least in my opinion. I've always liked Lexus interiors, but what they've done here is really special. Not only is the design very distinctive, but high quality materials everywhere. Granted, we're in a very highly loaded vehicle here. This has the package that has the Alcantara interior. It's got it on the ceiling, it's got it on the seats, the door panels. Virtually every square inch of this interior is lined with the stuff, soft trims, or leather. And so in this particular color of burnt caramel, it is just absolutely gorgeous, I think. And even though I typically like to see wood in a luxury car like this, I'm not missing it here. And that's because Lexus has lined this interior not only with all these other materials, but high quality finishes like aluminum, and the switchgear in here is of a very high tactile quality, as I've come to expect with Lexus. But as I sit here in this very comfortable sports seat that's holding me very tight, the seating position here is very comfortable. It's very low, so getting in and out of this very much like you might expect with other sports coupes, even a Corvette. You are getting down into this car compared to most everything that's on the market today. But once you're here, you will find a great range of adjustment here in these seats to go up and down, forward to back, as well as recline. And then you have a powered tilt and telescoping steering wheel, leather, of course, with all the controls right here. It's got paddle shifters, nice real aluminum ones that have a high quality feel. And here in the center, the TFT instrument cluster, fully digital, and this does have that moving center ring like we've seen in some of the other Lexus F cars that allows you to really sort of customize that experience, what you're looking at. The dash design, sort of a bi-level design that really gives this a nice sporty appearance inside. This center console has a grab handle wing that flows down, and it's actually mimicked over there on the door panel so that your passenger could actually have grab handles on both sides, and they could possibly need them too. On the topic of storage, there's not a lot here, I will admit. There is one cup holder up front, and here in this center console, there's a small cubby here, and then you've got a box down in here. Not a lot of space. I've got one water bottle in there, and maybe two could fit, and that's about it. So this isn't designed with a lot of storage and utility in mind. It's a sports coupe. There are map pockets here and there, large ones in the doors, and down here on the side of the center console. Rear seat passengers, this isn't really supposed to be a four-seater. I mean, you can put people back there if you put these seats quite a ways up, but as you can see back there, when these seats are in a normal driving position, they're literally right up against that back seat. That back seat is for your insurance company, not really for not for people. Kids could fit back there perhaps if you move these seats up, but you're not going to be very comfortable as a driver up here. The trunk, not very big either. This being the hybrid, it has a lithium-ion battery that's between the back seat and the trunk, so the depth front to back is pretty shallow, but it's also very shallow in a depth sense from top to bottom. You'd think there'd be a big spare there, but there isn't. Underneath that deck, you're going to find the standard battery as well as the emergency inflator kit. Not a lot of space there, so when you look at the trunk on this particular car, it's very much like you'd expect in a sports coupe, just not that big. It's just a well-done interior. I like it very much. High quality materials, a nice design, and this particular color and material combination in this one, I really do like. It definitely feels its price. The material quality, the design, the switch gear, everything really just hits on all cylinders. Not as much storage as I like, but this is no SUV. The interior gets 5 out of 5 stars. Now we've got to talk about the infotainment system. This has right here in the center of the dash a big widescreen 10.3-inch TFT display, not a touchscreen. It's controlled down here by a number of switches and a touchpad. Now this system and other Lexuses I've said a lot of good things about because over the years it has been one of the best in the industry, especially in the class of the luxury vehicles like Mercedes-Benz, Audi, some of the other German, some of the other English brands, because the menu layout very good, graphics very good, and the puck, the mechanical puck that other Lexus vehicles have, I've always liked the way it works. It's very tactile. Now here we have the touchpad in lieu of that puck. Not quite as happy with that as I am with the puck, because using it not quite as intuitive, especially if you're driving down the road and your hands moving back and forth. It doesn't have that automatic tactile resistance that the puck always had that made it so good. But once you get used to that or start using some of the other controls like the buttons and the knobs, maybe the steering wheel controls, the menu layouts here are very good, and the graphics here very good. Glare as at a low point because this is actually shielded quite a bit, so you don't get a lot of the sun glare you get with some cars. This really does do a good job in the being able to see what you're doing and navigate around there, aside of the controls here. Now, this is missing some features though. We're in a modern world now. We have Apple CarPlay in most cars. We have Android Auto in most cars. We don't have that here. That is one thing that we could really use here, if I'm honest. When it comes to audio, we're in a very good place. This has the optional Mark Levinson audio system, which is always well worth its price. In this particular case, we have 13 speakers. It sounds absolutely phenomenal. One other area where there is a bit of a deficiency here is the backup camera. The backup camera, just a straight backup camera, in this price range, I'd really expect a bird's eye view camera, especially with the blind spots that we've got in the sports coupe. At the $100,000 plus price point, I'd think we'd have that. But that aside, even though this does have a few deficiencies as I've outlined, this is still one of the best systems in the business when you compare it to the other luxury brands. Mercedes-Benz, BMW, Jaguar, those systems aren't really any easier to use, if we're honest. So I like what they've done here. They do need to add more features. That backup camera really needs some improvement, and they've already got the puck in the parts bin. Why not just put it here and make this easier to use? Still though, very impressed, very competitive. 4 out of 5 stars. As I said at the outset, the LC comes in 2 versions, the LC500, which has a 5-liter V8, 471 horsepower, and the hybrid here, LC500h. Now what we've got here is actually still pretty remarkable, even though it doesn't have all of that horsepower. We've got a 3.5-liter V6 engine with D4S fuel injection, and that means direct injection and port fuel injection. Really remarkable here is a new hybrid drive unit transmission. It utilizes the technology of a continuously variable transmission and a 4-speed automatic transmission. It actually simulates the behavior and the functionality of a 10-speed automatic. So it's a car that gives you that feel of a traditional automatic transmission and a gear ratio spread that really utilizes all 354 of its system horsepower. So you've got the engine, you have 2 electric motors, you've got this hybrid drive system that tie it all together for a 0 to 60 time of about 4.7 seconds. And fuel economy, that's really where the action is here, rated by the EPA at 26 mpg city, 35 mpg highway, and 30 mpg combined. So the question I always start with is, how does it go? Well, very nice sound, I'll give you that. What you'll notice there is this has a very interesting sound as it relates to how it shifts, and that's because we don't have a standard transmission here. We've got the hybrid drive system, which here is comprised of a CVT and a 4-speed automatic. They've combined 2 different technologies here to give you the best of both worlds. And so what we do have here is a transmission that does have a downshift, and it does actually shift, but at other times it acts like a CVT. Not a bad thing at all. I find that it actually works quite well, and when you actually use these paddle shifters here, which I don't usually do in my test drives, they actually work quite well. They respond, they do the job. And there's pretty good power here. 354 horsepower doesn't sound like a lot in a car that's this large, but I'm pretty impressed, and it's got a very high quality machine sound. So I think they've done a good job here in creating a powertrain that's got power, and it's got what you expect in a sports coupe. Now, fuel economy, also very impressive this week. Rated at 30 mpg combined, around the city, stop and go, as well as out here on the highway. And playing around a little bit, I was able to actually exceed that. I got 32 mpg in my week of testing with this, and that was actually biased to city driving, believe it or not. So that's pretty impressive when you think about the fact that we've got a very heavy luxury sport coupe that's getting better fuel economy than most economy sedans. Pretty good. So powertrain, very impressed. I give it 5 out of 5 stars. On the topic of handling, this is an all-new chassis with a very high-tech suspension. It's a very solid chassis, but yet pretty light. 4,400 pounds and some change is what this weighs in hybrid trim. That is a lot of weight, but it's actually pretty commendable when you think about all the technology and all the luxury that's going on here. The suspension, we've got a multi-link suspension front and rear. That front suspension actually has a dual ball joint design, which allows for a lot of high-tech tuning when it comes to really getting those tire angles precise with the ground and keeping them that way no matter what the driving conditions. So It feels solid, it's quiet, and it feels precise. We've also got variable gear ratio steering here, which speeds it up at slower speeds like in parking lots so that you don't have to put in as much turning effort. And depending on your driving behavior, it can actually speed up or slow that steering ratio on the fly so that you can get increased feel, particularly if you set this up to sport and you're on a windy road versus out on a highway where at speed it's going to slow that ratio down and give you more high-speed stability. So they've thought of all of the angles here. They've dotted the I's, they've crossed the T's. The question really becomes is how does it work when it's really pushed? Well, it works pretty good. It feels of quality. At speed, it feels very stable. And when you put it into a curve, it responds. Now, this is a pretty rough road. It's pretty quiet here. This is a pavement that's typically pretty noisy. Brakes scrubbing off speed pretty good. And going in and out of curves, this just really has a fluidic, a predictable feel to it. It feels of quality, it feels solid. It's not getting its feathers ruffled by any of the rough pavement here or anything that I'm throwing at it. And granted, this isn't a really super windy road, but this is a road that can test even the best of cars when it comes to refinement because of the rougher surface and because of the speeds we're able to get to here. And I'm not going to tell you what the speeds are because, well, it's more than the posted speed limit. We'll just leave it at that. Chassis, very impressed. No rattles and shakes. Nothing that would tell me that it's anything worth less than its price. So chassis gets 5 out of 5 stars. Quality is a very important measure, even on the least expensive cars I test. I look them over very closely. I look at the body panel fit and alignment. I listen for rattles. I slam the doors. I want to see how well they're built, and I want to see if they feel and sound like quality in every way when you're living with them. And here, as I expected, I'm not disappointed. Body panel fit and alignment, very good. This is manufactured in Japan. Paint finish, very good. The materials inside especially. This has one of the best interiors in the business. Certainly up there with anything you'd expect from Germany, anything you'd expect from England. And really, we're looking at a car here that also has legendary Lexus Toyota quality and that dealership experience, which even though the warranty coverage is not the best in the business, probably not going to be an issue. Cars like this tend to work, feel, sound, and operate just as well when they're 10 years old as they do when they're brand new. So quality score comes in at 5 out of 5 stars. All right, my friends, wrapping it up for the Lexus LC500h Hybrid. Very impressed here. I expected to be impressed. This is a Lexus. My experience with the brand has always been good. And having owned BMW, having owned Mercedes-Benz, I can tell you that the luxury here, the creature comforts, the quality, everything here is really up to par when it comes to vehicles in this price range that it competes with. Now, as it relates to price, $108,000 and some change. This starts at $96,000. If you go with the V8, the LC500, $92,000. So here we've got a little over $10,000 and some options. Good options too. We've got that beautiful interior, the Mark Levinson audio system, these larger wheels, a nice package. So when I look at value here, I'm thinking 5 stars, to be honest with you, because when you look at Mercedes-Benz, when you look at BMW and Jaguar, you can spend a lot more money here, especially if you go for those high-performance versions that are a little bit higher than what you're going to get here. But here, you've got a nice everyday driver that's solid, and chances are, when this car's at 100,000 miles, you're not going to be thinking, boy, this is a disaster waiting to happen. There's another shoe that's going to drop on me. And again, having owned BMW, Mercedes-Benz, that starts coming to mind when those cars start getting up there in age. So value, again, 5 stars. When you put that in with everything we've already talked about, we're at 5 stars for the review. Very good. I'm Sam Haymart for Test Driven TV. I hope you enjoyed the ride. Well, my friends, I hope you enjoyed this test drive, even though my voice was a little bit tough to hear. Been sick this week, so can't get around that. I still have to film these videos. Nonetheless, we test 1 or 2 cars a week, so there's always something new. You can see our latest test drive right there on the big square, or subscribe to our YouTube channel right there on the big round logo, and we'll keep you notified of everything we do. Either way, stay tuned.